Chapter 11: How HeyMax becomes profitable. Third question, and the short answer is yes, and sooner than most consumer fintechs, but not on the current configuration. Let me show you where the money actually goes, because once you see it, the strategy becomes obvious. Of every $100 of revenue in 2026, $45 goes on the cost of rewards, $28 goes on people, $10 on marketing, $9 on general and administrative, $9 on expansion, $4 on technology. Two lines dominate, rewards at 45% and people at 28%, everything else is rounding. So profitability is a two-variable problem. Make each mile cheaper or worth more, and grow revenue faster than headcount. There are 5 levers. Let me rank them by impact. Lever 1, shift the revenue mix to B2B, worth 8 to 12 points of gross margin. I said earlier that in affiliate, HeyMax is a price taker, and in B2B, HeyMax is a price setter. Moving the mix from 19% B2B to 45% lifts blended gross margin from about 51% to around 60%. And there's a second-order benefit that matters just as much. B2B revenue is cash upfront against a deferred cost, which fixes working capital in exactly the place the affiliate model is weakest. Lever 2, reduce the true cost of a mile, worth 6 to 9 points of gross margin. Direct airline contracts with volume tiers instead of going through a sender. That's 15 to 25 hundredths of a cent per redeemed mile, steering redemption toward cheaper channels through interface design and bonus timing, another 5 to 10 hundredths. Retiring or repricing the most expensive routes, which is exactly what they did with cash for miles and a core, another 5 hundredths, and using transfer bonuses surgically as liability management instruments rather than as broad marketing. Add it up and you go from 1.5 cents to about 1.25. That's a 19% reduction in cost of goods sold, worth roughly $1.2 million a year of pure gross profit from procurement discipline alone. Lever 3, close the share of wallet gap, and this is the biggest one in the entire model. Getting miles per active user from 3,300 to 8,000 at constant contribution margin is a 2.4 times revenue increase, with no new users and no new markets. On my sensitivity analysis, this single variable is worth nearly $10 million of EBITDA by 2028. It's more than double the next largest lever. Lever 4, monetize the surfaces that are currently free, worth $2 to $4 million of high-margin revenue. Card referrals, properly optimized, $1 to $3 million at 95% margin. A formal media rate card for campaign placements, 80% margin. A premium consumer tier, remember, Kudos in the US charges $72 a year for less functionality than Card Maximizer plus Award Companion, and HeyMax gives it away. And HeyMax First, which at a 2% attach rate on 1 million users at an average of $800 would be $12 million on its own. Lever 5, grow revenue faster than headcount. They're at about $467,000 of revenue per employee, which is already strong. The stated plan to double Singapore headcount by 2027 should be resisted in favor of weighting hires to Manila and Kuala Lumpur, a third to a half the cost, and growing volume through partners rather than payroll. A coalition deal adds revenue with almost no headcount. A market launch adds an entire country team. Now let me give you the 3 scenarios. Base case asterisk, which is where I'd put about 55% of my probability. Revenue of $14 million this year, 26 next year, 42 in 2028, 62 in 2029. B2B rises from 19% to 50%. Gross margin climbs from 51 to 63%. EBITDA breakeven arrives in the second half of 2027 at around $24 million of revenue and about 62 people. 13% margins in 2028, 21% in 2029. Aggressive case ***, about 20% probability. 2 Tier 1 bank contracts land in 2027, B2B hits 45%, direct airline contracts cut costs faster, HeyMax first overperforms. Revenue of $30 million next year, $55 the year after, $88 in 2029. EBITDA positive from the fourth quarter of 2027. That supports a Series C at $550 to $800 million. Conservative case ***, about 25%. B2B stalls at a quarter of revenue. Redemption rises to 85%, pushing the cost per mile up. Shopback launches a miles product. Expansion burns capital without producing revenue. Revenue of $20 million next year, 28, then 36. Gross margins stuck at 48. EBITDA negative through 2029, needing another $20 million, priced as a consumer app at $110 to $170 million. In that world, selling the company for $150 to $250 million is the rational outcome, and to be clear, still a good one. Let me leave you with the two numbers that actually decide which world you end up in. Miles per active user and ultimate redemption rate. The first is a growth metric HeyMax controls through product design. The second is a cost metric it can manage but not control. Every strategic decision this company makes should be evaluated against its effect on those two numbers. If a proposed feature doesn't move either one, it probably isn't worth building.